very interesting milk trivia there. Genghis Khan won his battles because of the milk he drank. I mean, of course, it's very, very good for you. And that's what we're talking about on today's show. We're talking about breastfeeding dilemmas. Now, it's become very much more popular these days to advocate breastfeeding. I mean, back in when I was a baby in the 70s or the 70s, you know, it wasn't very much advocated back then. You know, it was the rise of the formula, and you know, my mom was just given a choice. She said, okay, do you want to breastfeed or not? Maybe not. Okay, here's the pill for you to take, and you know, and that's it. But you know, having given birth to my daughter 8 months ago, you know, I thought the first month I was literally going to die because I didn't know anything about breastfeeding or whatever, and I didn't think I'd be continuing till now. And till today, I still have challenges. So, you know, I've got plenty of questions since it's quite first-hand from these lovely ladies here. I would like to say a very good morning to Rita Rahayu Omar, who's a Lactation Consultant, Director of Nurturing Concepts. We've got Kara Lim, founder of Malaysia Breastfeeding and Natural Parenting Association, and Evelyn Chong, Breastfeeding Counsellor, Malaysia Breastfeeding and Natural Parenting Association. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Welcome to the show. So what is your take when people say breast is best? Rita, let's start off with you. Since you've got 4 kids,
right.
All of them breastfed?
All of them were breastfed.
Till how old?
Well, all different stages.
These are the questions every mommy asks these days, till how old, you know?
Well, my first one was breastfed for 1 year and 3 months. Okay. Because he weaned himself off when I got pregnant with my second one. My second one's 3 years and a half, and then my third one, 3 years, 8 months, and then the fourth one just weaned himself off.
Lovely. And you believe that breast is best. Why is that?
I'd like to probably reword it to say breastfeeding is a norm rather than it's best, because it actually is, breastfeeding is the norm, and it's not to say that if you don't breastfeed, you're not giving your baby the best, but we're just saying that it's the norm, and it is the optimum form of infant feeding.
Yeah, so because I mean, there was, you know, it's very subjective, isn't it? And very, it's a very sensitive subject nowadays.
You have to remember that there are women out there who face real challenges.
Absolutely.
And to say breast is best, if I am a mother who is not breastfeeding, I would be offended. Absolutely,
yes. Absolutely. And there was a huge debate in the UK recently about breastfeeding versus formula, but you know, we'll get into that later on. So your association, Kara, what does it do?
We work on support and educate some basic information about breastfeeding. Okay. And more on psychological. Yeah, we do some counseling about their relationship too, because we find out that sometimes we input them some knowledge, information about breastfeeding. They cannot continue because of lack of support from their husband and family.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this whole breastfeeding thing, it's a huge entire ball game, isn't it? I mean, if you don't have enough rest, you don't produce milk. If you're stressed out, you don't produce milk. I mean, I think in my first month of delivery, I probably could hardly produce any milk. I mean, of course, there was the stress of taking care of a newborn, and I'm sure a lot of mummies face this dilemma as well. You know, and then, you know, you've got your confinement lady and your mother standing in front of you, and when you're expressing, it says, that's it, you know? It's very stressful. Yeah, so how do you tell the mothers and stuff, you know, how do you give them support? Or rather, how do you think the kind of support they need?
Actually, we will recommend them to attend some courses about breastfeeding before they deliver. It's better if the husband can join together, because the husband's support is also very important for the mother.
So tell us, Rita, I mean, since this is, they say breastfeeding is a very mental, it's a very mental thing. It's, you know, if you are stressed out mentally, you know, it's going to be tough for you to breastfeed. What's that all about? Can you help qualify that?
Okay, to say that stress actually affects your milk supply, what happens is that if a mother is emotionally compromised, it actually affects their milk ejection reflex. Which is, if you've got breastfeeding involves two hormones. You've got prolactin, the hormone that produces milk, and then you've got oxytocin, which is the hormone that ejects milk.
Right.
Now, the hormone that will be affected if a mother is emotionally compromised is oxytocin.
Okay.
So if the mother, it's not to say that if the mother is stressed or whatever, they don't have milk. They have milk, but the milk is not coming out.
Right.
So you need to make sure that the mother is calm. So keep calm and breastfeed.
But it's
That's
the,
true.
it's the toughest thing, right? I mean,
It is.
like, you know, how do you keep calm? You're like, not enough sleep, you know, you've got a newborn baby.
Which is where that is why we tell
the
people
husbands
that,
come
yes,
in.
that's where the husband's coming in. And not just the husband, we're talking about your whole support system, because it may not just be, your husband is your #1 supporter, which is why Evelyn was saying they have to come for the classes, because if they didn't come, and it was just the mom who was attending the class, and then they go back and they tell the husband, and the husband's like, sure. But they don't, it doesn't register. But if they come and they experience it themselves, they know, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do, this is my role. So you've already got them engaged there.
Yes.
And when it actually happens, when the baby is born, you're a team.
Yes.
So you've got your husband, you've got your mom, you've got your friends, and groups like theirs also come in as well, because they provide that kind of support that women need. Because women need to feel empowered, they need to feel enabled. And yes, I agree, you know, lack of sleep, you know, and you're like, oh my God, what is this, you know, and
I mean, your body's already been battered and gone through so much changes. If you've got, if you had a cesarean, you know, you're in pain, and then, you know, you're just dealing with so many issues here that, you know, it's tough being a mom, eh?
It is. Let me just share with you my own experience as a mom. My first child, I had an emergency C-section, and when I had that, it was all that pain and all that stress that I went through.
Trauma,
breastfeeding, trauma. Breastfeeding was just out the window for me.
Yeah.
I actually literally told the doctor, just feed my baby whatever.
Sure.
So from that point, from my own personal experience, so I only started to exclusively breastfeed my child then at 2 months.
Okay.
I worked on it.
Sure.
So I had support, and I have to say, I cannot emphasize enough that support is key. Knowledge, support, and practice is key.
Yeah. I mean, what are some of the main issues besides, you know, the stress and all that faced by mommies? I mean, what kind of the, you know, everyday questions you get?
Can I breastfeed my child? Do I have enough milk?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, we have some different opinions from the family, like mother who say, I have no milk, so you won't have milk to breastfeed.
Really?
Yeah.
Genetics.
It's genetic problems.
A lot of I feel that the older generation, they don't really understand the whole, you know, mechanics of breastfeeding. My mother never really understood it, you know, until my husband had to explain to her, this is how it works and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, you get a lot, like, you know, I mean, we all have confinement lady issues, and I mean, some of us, you know, and mine was just, you know, secretly feeding my baby formula, you know. Well, I mean, eventually I had to top up anyway because she wasn't putting on weight. So, of course, as long as my baby gets fed, right? But then you have those breastfeeding Nazis out there also who, you know, who are like, you know, what? How dare you feed your baby formula? You know, so I suppose it's all a balance, isn't it?
It's important for women, because we're all on the same team here, to acknowledge the challenges faced by other women who are having problems, because we are not from the same background and stuff. So it is important to empathize.
Yes.
I keep saying that because you have to have empathy, and you can't just label a person like, oh, why didn't you breastfeed? Or why are you not doing that?
Or, you know, when you're saying, okay, you know, I've kind of had enough of breastfeeding. Really? Why? You know?
Yes.
I mean, no, we don't need judgments like that, you know, it's my body, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so, you know, there are mothers out there who can put a lot of pressure on new mothers, you know, so what would your advice be to them?
Empathize. Empathize, because we have to realize that there are real problems. You don't know what they're going through.
Sure.
And like that, they don't know what you're going through. It may be easy for you. Your journey may be easy,
I mean,
but
you look at some of the mothers, you know, and they put like, you know, tons of like frozen milk, and they're like, oh, you know, I've got extra milk, and I'm going to bathe my baby in the milk, you know. Mine is like chukup, and I'm like looking at like, how you get so much milk? And there I was, lactation cookies, la fenugreek, la fennel, la whatever, you know. And it's stressful when, you know, like, okay, and I remember my husband and I, we actually had a leap of joy the day I could produce 3 ounces, you know. So it's that kind of thing, you know. But I hear a lot of times, you know, when mothers say, you just have to persevere and persevere. What does that mean?
Well, can I answer this question?
Okay.
All right. First of all, can I just say it's important for everyone to realize that every mother defines her own success. And when you were saying about, oh, you see these like tons and tons of milk in the freezer and stuff, well, it probably works for her.
Good for them.
Good for them, yes. But you have to remember, you're feeding your baby. You're not feeding her baby or anyone else's baby. So you having that 3 ounce is an achievement. And you should pat yourself in the back for that. And the fact that you are nurturing your child, even if it meant that you had to
top
you know,
up
top
with
up,
formula or
but you
whatever.
do the best that you can, right? But in that process, you can probably get help and find out, okay, what's going on? Is this something you want to probably get reassurance? Are you really having a
So
milk
that's
supply
perseverance
issue?
we're talking about.
So we're talking about perseverance and also understanding where to get support. I think that is key.
Right.
Yeah, where to get help. Because if you really think you have a problem and you need help, go and get help. And that's part of persevering, you know, not just, oh, I'm going to do...
No, I mean, I got really good tips from the Breastfeeding Advocates Network, Facebook, you know, I learned a lot of stuff. I never understood how to express properly and all that. So, you know, it helped. But you've got a board there, very interesting looking board there. Would you like to share that with us?
Okay, this is about the life issue.
Okay.
From our association, we believe that breastfeeding is one of the issues.
Okay, challenges.
Yeah, last time when we're doing some support for the mothers, and we can see, we can know from them their story, all different. Some is, most of them have family and relationship problem.
Okay.
Yeah, and after deliver the baby, and one new baby in the family, and all the challenges come out. Yeah, because different culture, concept, experience, and cause the conflict and argument.
Okay.
Yeah, so at this condition, they can't get what we teach them to do.
I see.
Their feeling is very bad and depression.
There are underlying issues.
Yeah.
Right.
So we more on let them know how to settle the family and relationship problem.
So you give them a little bit of counseling as well?
Counseling,
Yeah,
yes.
do? Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Then we only, after make the first and second challenges in family stable, we only input some breastfeeding information and knowledge and help them in how to do the support, how to do the breastfeeding.
Sure.
And then their parenting will be more stable and the bonding make them more happy.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
this is all related.
So basically it's about having more awareness, so to speak,
Yeah.
when you become parents or, you know, when you decide to have a child.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, I mean, look, I mean, if we don't talk about it, if we don't read about it,
You won't be prepared.
I'm sure a lot of mothers that don't really know, you know, I'm sure they do have a little grasp on it, but they're not actually sure, like, oh, why can't I, or you know, or you know, why am I feeling so down after giving birth? A lot of people don't understand about postnatal depression or the blues, you know, and all that kind of stuff, and it's just not talked about. It's very taboo, so to speak, you know, to tell you how you're feeling, right? But you know, I think nowadays with people like you, you know, you've helped a lot of mummies out there, you know, to understand it better. Like me, my only source was Facebook, and you know, and I had a lactation specialist come to my house and help me out, and actually, you know, press the breast and see how many milk ducts I had and stuff like that, and you know, all that kind of thing, you know, which people would poo and pa. A lot of people would. But yeah, I mean, in terms of nowadays also, like, as the baby grows older, how do you know when it's time to stop or not stop? There are certain days when the baby just does not want to latch on, you know, and those days I thought, okay, my breastfeeding journey is over. Then suddenly she comes back again. So what is all that?
if you're talking about when to know that your baby is ready to wean off and start food or something, it is important for you to, for parents to actually understand the developmental stages of the child. A lot of misconception happens when a child turns 6 months or 7 months. They actually have a change in their behavior. They are less interested in the breast. A lot of moms think that, oh, does that mean that he's ready to be weaned off or ready to be introduced? Actually, it does not. So it's important for them to say, oh, to understand that it is normal, because at that stage they're more curious about what's going on outside. So when they're breastfeeding,
they just don't want to be fed all the whole time.
So when they're breastfeeding, and it's shortened too, the feeding sessions are shortened because they're too distracted. They keep on, they're latched on, but they're busy looking left and right, and when they hear a noise or something, they go, oh, what's that? What's that? You know, they get distracted. So if you, when you come to that stage, you actually need to know what you need to do, which is probably go to a quieter place, less distractions, switch off the TV. If they're distracted by lights, switch off the lights, things like that. So you need to tweak a little bit, things that you need to do. So that's where classes and information that you get through these these courses or workshops or whatever, it helps. And then even the hunger cues, you know, like you need to see what they are and stuff. Those are during the early days. But then as they grow older, all these developmental milestones need to be noted. So if you see that they've got signs that they start to reach out for things, oh, that's probably a sign that they're ready to eat food. And one thing that if they're ready to eat food, they'll be ready to sit up when they're propped up. So that is actually one of the signs that they're ready.
So in you know, to summarize everything, I mean, breastfeeding itself, it's a complete new world and a whole different ball game nowadays, especially with a lot of working moms. You know, they've got to express the milk in the office. Some on the go. Some employers, you know, they're okay with it. Some are not, you know. And I think the general public still needs to be educated. You know, nursing in public and all that kind of stuff, right? When you're traveling, you know, how to freeze the milk, and you know, I've had countless of times when I've gone into hotel kitchens and gone to their freezer. Like, okay, so this is when my milk is. Okay, thank you very much. You know, it's stressful, but you know, you just think you're nourishing your child, right? That's important, and you know, it's a great bond. It's a great feeling.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't express how, you know, how I couldn't describe it really, but it's a great bond. Before I let the both of you go, is there anything you'd like to say about breastfeeding and the work that you do, and how can people contact you?
Maybe they can find our website from this board, our website, and can contact us for
MBNPA. All right.
We can do some psychological counseling.
You have experts there doing psychological counseling?
We have one consultant there, based there, to manage their family problem.
Oh, excellent, excellent.
But it's a Mandarin-based?
English both.
English as well? Oh,
yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, and you have workshops, do you conduct workshops and stuff like that as well?
Yes, breastfeeding class or the parent development. Parent development class.
How to learn how to become parents. So it's not just the prenatal classes. Now you've got breastfeeding classes and classes on how to become parents as well, which I think will be very helpful. I wish I went for this before I gave birth. But nevertheless, baby's already 8 months. She's healthy, so thank God for that. But thank you very much, ladies. Rita, I think we're having you back in the third block. We're going to be talking about the other foods after, you know, we've weaned off the breastfeeding with other doctors here. So thank you very much, ladies. And good luck with everything that you do. And let's have more people become more aware of what breastfeeding is all about, right? Okay, we're going to go for a very short break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking to a nutritionist and a pediatrician as well. So stay tuned. That's right, the benefits of drinking milk. I love my milk till today. And of course, it's got a lot of benefits in it. I mean, it's amazing actually what there is in breast milk. You know, it's amazing what the body can produce, but I'm not an expert in answering that. So we'd like to say once again, good morning to Rita, Lactation Consultant, Director of Nurturing Concepts. Dr. Hairin Anisa, Founder, Consultant, Pediatrician, Pusat Rawatan, Pakar, Kanak-Kanak, Adda. And we've got Vinodhini Cha Chu, who is a Community Nutritionist, Pejabat, Kesihatan, Daerah, Klang. Good morning, ladies. Okay, before anything else, before we talk about, you know, transitioning into, you know, the solid foods that children eat, what is in the breast milk that the mommies produce, and how is the body so clever in producing enough water, fat, and all that for the child?
Breast milk is something very natural, and it produced according to the baby's needs, according to the age. So it is, it'll be producing enough fat, enough protein, enough water for the baby itself. So we don't have to worry whether it's enough or not enough.
That's amazing. I still find it so miraculous.
The composition.
The composition is just nice,
perfect.
just right.
And for each month, you know, I mean, for the months, it changes, right?
Yes, it changes
according to the baby's development.
If you talk about breast milk, it's just not only because of macronutrients, you know, but this is something that people always tend to disregard, which the presence of the hormones, enzymes, and in fact antibodies.
Yes, that's right. Because
the living cells, it's actually breast milk is a living cells where it protects babies from infection, which this kind of benefits is actually not present in any formula milk.
That's amazing, isn't it?
And colostrum is the baby's first immunization.
The gold liquid, as we call it.
Yeah, true.
Oh, wow, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so we're talking about, I mean, of course, breast milk is very, very good. But, you know, when we talk about formulas out there, it is enough. It's enough, and it's got enough vitamins to feed the babies as well, right? For those who can't breastfeed or choose not to.
That's true. Yes, that is true. But we have to, what Hairin was saying, we cannot disregard the components, the special, unique components that's in breast milk that's not present in any other.
The hormones and the antibodies and all that kind of stuff.
I don't know whether formula milk doesn't have the what we call that, the enzymes to digest, you know, and then in fact the absorption also different. The duration of the absorption also different, you know.
The like of the proteins,
because the presence of the enzymes, you know that in the fat, you need lipase, where it's already present in the breast milk, so baby doesn't have to produce itself just to digest the fat. So that comes into that the duration of the absorption for breast milk is shorter than the formula milk itself.
Okay.
There's a lot of studies show that the breast milk actually only it digests about maybe around 60 minutes to 90 minutes.
Yes, it's bioavailable.
And in fact, it's studied, have been so long studied on this, and the duration of digestion for formula milk takes about 3 to 4 hours.
Yes.
So therefore, there's most of the mother have common mistakes of saying that breast milk is not enough, because when they feed with the formula milk,
the baby gets hungry faster.
The baby less hunger.
And that a formula-fed baby sleeps longer, obviously, because they need to digest longer.
I see.
This is
it's not like
mistake.
It's like a misconception.
Let's share one more information, which I know is not available anywhere.
Please.
Did you know that if you breastfed your child, and especially if you're breastfeeding at night, the nocturnal milk at night actually makes them sleepy, because this kind of...
And it makes the mommy sleepy as well.
Exactly. So it makes you rest, it makes your baby rest. So
Because every time I'm feeding, I'm like, why am I so sleepy?
Yes, it's supposed to help
Prolactin. It's actually the prolactin.
The prolactin, that's
you know,
right.
because our prolactin physiologically will be surged at midnight.
Yes.
I see. Okay. So this, I mean, this is again, you know, we're saying that, you know, this is, of course, the benefit of breastfeeding and on those mummies who actually can, but those who can't, I mean, babies have still grown up and been really healthy on formula milk as well. And now what we're talking about here is baby food. I mean, like, this is when the baby kind of like, you know, not too interested in the milk anymore, and they start on solids. What is the first thing you would advise Vinodhini, with mummies and feeding solids and stuff like that?
The first most important thing is when to start the solid.
Okay.
So when we talk about starting solids, we always encourage mother to breastfeed their child from birth up to 6 months. And introduction of complementary feeding is at 6 months, or precisely to be at 180 days.
Okay.
So when we talk about that, the timing must be perfect. We must introduce the solid right on time, not too early, not too late.
Sure.
Because at 6 months, the energy requirements differs, increase. The child...
So they need the
yes,
carbs.
They need the carbs, they need the protein. That's the most important thing. And when we talk about time, another important thing is also variety. When we see variety, we have 5 groups of food that we need to introduce to the child. One is carbo, and the carbo we can get from not only from rice, from bread, from noodles, from pasta, cereals, and also tubers, which gives us carbo. Next, we need vitamins and minerals from fruits and vegetables, and important, we don't just stick to one type of vegetables or one type of fruits. Variety of colors is important also. All the greens, all the oranges, all the yellows, the colors are important for the child. And next, we need the protein. We need the protein from the fish, chicken, and finally, fat and oil also need to be included in their food, the variety.
I want to add something about the variety of the food.
Please.
You know what? Because when she mentioned about the colors of the foods, actually different colors of the food give different concentration of the micronutrients inside. So therefore, you have to be balanced, all the colors inside one meal.
Most of the mothers that I see in clinics, when I ask them what kind of vegetables have you introduced, all of them stick to one answer: carrots.
Okay, but that may make your baby turn color, right? Too much carotene in it, right?
Too much carotene.
I mean, I would give like spinach, broccoli.
Yes, exactly. Broccoli, cauliflower.
Carrots, cauliflower.
And green leafy vegetables, not only, we just don't stick to spinach only. We have kangkong, we have sawi. All those we can introduce to them. The variety of each vegetables have different taste.
That's
so
right.
the child needs to learn about different taste as
And
well.
texture.
Texture, yes. Yes, the next thing I'm going to stress.
Super experts.
The next thing I'm going to stress is about the texture. Each age group needs a different texture of food. As the age grows, the texture must be rougher. Like between 6 to 8 months, texture should be soft, diluted or liquid or soft diet.
Blended,
mashed, mashed. Up to 9 to 11 months, it should be chopped, coarse texture. So the child will develop their motor skill on chewing. So that's why important the texture. Above 1, the child should be introduced family food. Family food will be more rough, okay? But then the important thing is always on the right time, the variety, the texture, and of course the food safety comes in.
One more amount.
Yes, the amount.
The right amount.
Yeah, because sometimes I have a full bowl and she can't finish it. Then sometimes I have like half a bowl and she wants more. So how do you gauge these things?
Because most of the mothers also tend to do a mistakes in amount, whereby they make a portion is very small, and in fact the meals that prepare is not a meal, it's just a puree. Without any calories.
That's true. Okay.
They should put in all balance, all fat, carbo and everything,
when we talk about
make
fat,
a meal.
what are we talking about here?
Like vegetable oil, it can be unsalted butter. It can also be ghee. Or coconut oil, as long as the fat is given. Why some mothers are asking, why must I produce? I mean, why must I introduce fat to the child? Won't that make my child obese or fat or something like that? They have to understand. Above 6 months old, the child will be doing a lot of new things. They'll turn over, they'll crawl, they'll try to stand. The energy requirement increases. If they fail to introduce fat or oil in their meal, the child might face stagnant weight gain. So we have to cover their energy from fat and oil as well, apart from carbo.
Very, very interesting. I'm learning a lot today, actually. So with foods, I mean, I think we've also got a graph. I think we can put online up on the show on the screen now, to tell us about what kind of foods to feed the child and at which age and all that kind of stuff. But one thing I've always heard a lot of mothers say is that with children, it's what you put in their mouths. Sometimes it's them who does the controlling.
They do.
I've known of kids who just want to eat white rice, and that's it. And then they grow out of it, you know. But how do you cajole them, or, you know, they just want to eat cheese and bread, and that's it, you know. So that's the one thing that they can control, right, apparently. How do you go about it and make it exciting and interesting for the kids?
You know, because development of the taste bud start from early. No, from in fact in the antenatal.
So when they're young, already,
even from birth,
from birth, you know. So
I ate everything.
But the thing is that why we have to start very slow is because of we want to teach babies to have develop his own motor skills, you know, like chewing, swallowing, breathing, control while chewing, while swallowing, you know.
Right.
And then this actually not attained by itself. You know, you have to stimulate. You have to give some texture.
I know. Every mealtime is like one theatre drama going on.
It's a learning process. And learning about food.
Without introducing the different texture, a variability means that your baby doesn't learn anything about the motor skills. You know,
I see.
It delays. You know, the motor skills, the oral motor function.
So the suggestion would be to give that variety, introduce variety to them, and not keep giving the same food. It's like, Elaine, if you had nasi lemak every day, you're not going to have nasi lemak every day, right?
Of course not.
Or you know, so your baby's the same way, and they just can't communicate with you and tell you, Mom, stop giving me the same food every single day.
What happens if you give the same food every day? And some kids actually like it. I mean, we're talking about toddlers here. And
what
all
if
that.
you, the mother itself, eat every day the same thing?
You
Put
will
yourself
probably
in the
go
shoes of the
out.
child, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what if that's the only thing your child wants to eat?
That is where, because
it will
the variety is important from the beginning itself.
From the beginning,
itself.
Okay.
Some mothers, and up to 10 months, the child has been given only the
Porridge.
same kind of porridge,
Yes.
only the same kind of curry, and carrot, or just white rice.
Yes.
Up to 10 months, the same texture. The texture hasn't changed. That kind of babies will end up being a very picky eater.
Yes.
Picky eater, because when we tend to introduce them new food, they'll
Get excited.
Yeah, they get excited.
Like, what's this?
Either they will reject it or they will accept it. If they accept it, you're lucky, actually.
Right.
But if they reject it, it'll be really a battle for you, actually.
I think the way to go is to actually have a weekly meal planner.
Yes.
When you do a meal planner for the family, you also put in your baby's meal planner.
food.
So you might need to buy some butternut or
So
different
pear, apples to mix with
to mix it,
vegetables, and all that kind of different things.
Even the fruits also, some mothers will stick to apples only.
Yes.
We have pears, we have papayas, mangoes,
Bananas.
grapes, bananas.
Actually, the reasons behind we have to give a different kind of food because they are going to be an adults where they probably they eat a lot of things, you know. So we don't know actually this food cause allergies or not.
Allergy or not.
So therefore, you have to introduce one by one so that
you can rule out,
detect.
And I mean,
any
as
allergies to
their
any
age,
food.
you know, as they become older, you introduce different things like whether it's dairy or, you know, or things like nuts and all that, which might be
it might cause some
allergies.
reaction. So to do it one at a time so that you'll be able to detect. You know, if that's it, then you might want to rule
So
it.
we're talking about solids here, and while the solids thing is going on, we're giving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We are supplementing it, of course, with the milk as well. So the milk becomes complementary. Is that how we're seeing it? Is it, or should we not consider the milk as a meal on its own?
Milk can be a snack, part of the snack, healthy snacks for the child. From 6 to 8 months, it's recommended we give them 2 to 3 main meals, which means breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Of course, in the beginning, we'll start with 1 meal first for the first 1 week, and then the following week, increase the frequency of the meal, and subsequently increase from 2 to 3 times main meal.
Breastfeeding is
breastfeeding to be continued. Very important. Breastfeeding to be continued as usual, according to the demand of the child, and with 1 to 2 times of snacks.
Okay.
If the baby is not breastfed, if let's say the baby was mixed fed, then you need to just continue normal feeding
You cannot say milk as a complementary. For the moment, initial start, the feeding is the complementary. We know that the energy requirement from the complementary food is actually just about one-third of the total requirement of calories per day.
I see.
You know?
Okay.
So therefore, actually reduce the breast milk become reduced in calorie requirement from the from the breast milk itself after 1 year old.
Yes.
So therefore, and most of the mother feels that when you already start on complementary diet, you still giving this milk as usual.
Yes,
you know.
So that has to lessen, kan?
Yeah.
The milk.
It's not that if you
the
give
frequency will reduce.
Yeah, the frequency will be reduced, but
breastfeeding still fulfills
that-
75% of the energy.
the
Energy requirement
breastfeeding
for the
it
day.
still continues to
Yes.
give the benefits.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Now, the WHO recommends 2 years, right? 2 years. And 2 years is quite a long time, you know, for those mothers who can do it. My hat's off to you. But, you know, can you tell us a little bit about the prolonged benefits of breastfeeding?
As we know that nowadays we have lots of problem regarding the. Is it your answer? No, it's regarding the diseases. You know, so many diseases come out, infectious diseases. You know, so.
So the breastfeeding milk will combat against that?
Yes.
The targeted protection we were talking about, that only moms can provide.
And not only that, mothers, there is some studies showed that if mother prolong the breastfeeding, there is a reduction in risk of having breast cancer and ovarian cancer if you breastfeed more than 9 months.
And the risk reduces the more
by 50%.
the more you do it.
Yeah.
When you've got 4 children, the longer and the more.
The lower the risk that will
of breast cancer.
Yes.
Also, it's a benefit for the mommy as
It
well.
is. It is. Yeah.
Fantastic.
In fact, prolonged breastfeeding also increase the mental health of the child, physical health of the child as well. Not only for the mother, it also works for the child as well.
Right.
And
Cool.
extended breastfeeding, a lot of people, beyond that age, you're not just looking at breastfeeding as the source of food. Breastfeeding is a source of comfort. So for little minor boo-boos, if they fell and they bumped their head, like the bonding part, you know, you take your baby and you put them in the breast, it instantly calms them down. It's just a way to basically
Calm the baby
down because it's all hormones, you know.
It is actually when you breastfeed, you have the oxytocin release. It's actually a neuroendocrine process where this oxytocin actually promotes the stability of the heart rate, the temperature,
heart
for
rate.
both mother and baby.
So it's pretty amazing. I'm still finding it amazing.
That's why there is a study where they did a study for 35 years old men, not men, all the studies cohort. They seen the studies that people who is actually breastfeed longer, more than 2 years, about 2 years, something like that, they will actually have better coping mechanism.
Okay, interesting.
I know you wanted to say something.
One more thing I need to stress is responsive feeding. Responsive feeding is like teach the child to hold their food. Usually this happens between the age of 9 to 11. At the end of 8 months, you can start seeing the child want to grab the food.
Oh, she's already grabbing. She's picking up things with her fingers.
So we don't stop them, actually. Don't stop them from doing that. Let them do, because it's their way of learning, putting things.
But we have a tendency to want to feed them.
She just puts everything in her mouth.
Exactly.
You know,
So let them learn
eating and all that.
to hold the... Because 9 to 11, we also teach, we give them finger foods. So let them hold the food and put it into the mouth. Some children, they don't learn about it. Beginning, they'll start to put into their ears. So let them learn the right way. So responsive feeding is also important. Apart from that, use colorful plates, colorful cutleries to attract them on the food, to attract them to touch their food, different texture. That's what we call responsive feeding.
Most of us are afraid of that
and
splashing, splashing all the food all over on the floor, you know.
Hair.
But that is
Yesterday I had mango all over her head.
Oh yeah, my son had like broccoli all over.
Mother should prepare for that, you know.
Pictures of that.
Anyway, ladies, unfortunately we don't. We could be talking about this all day, but unfortunately we don't have enough time. But thank you very much for coming out and sharing all this with us. It certainly enlightened me in a lot of ways, and yes, I shall remember not too much carrot then. But thank you very much, and have a great day ahead, and we'll hope to see you back sometime soon.
You too. Sure.
Okay, we're going to go for another short break, and when we come back, some retrospective stuff for you. Stay tuned.